Hello, I'm Jo Dixon from the University of Southampton. Josh Underwood from the British Council and I are reading your comments and contributing to the discussions now and then to try to help you get the most out of this course. It's lovely to see so many of you active in the discussions already, and we've got participants from such a huge range of backgrounds. It's great. I think all your very varied language learning and language teaching experiences should make for some really interesting discussions over the next few weeks. As Josh and I go through the comments, we sometimes pin one or two to the top of the list of comments on a particular step to make them more visible. Sometimes I'll choose a question that seems to have been overlooked, that hasn't received any answers, or an opinion that strikes me as being somewhat different from most of the comments that I've read on a particular topic. Or I'll pin a thread that's already developing into an interesting discussion. So look out for those. But if your comments don't get pinned, please don't be offended. There are quite a lot to look through. Two of the steps in week one have got more than 100 comments on them. So we will miss a few. I'm just going to highlight in this short video a few of the comments that have caught my eye this week. So we introduced, somewhat controversially, the bottleneck hypothesis, a less well-established hypothesis about language learning than some of the older theories and hypotheses that you may be familiar with. Some of you seem to quite like it, some of you less so, and many of you are confused by it. It may be anyway that some of you are more interested in practical ideas than theory, but if you are interested in a more theoretical discussion of how we learn language, I think Caroline's comment on step 1.9 is a good starting point, and she's waiting for some responses. She's mentioned a couple of other hypotheses that she's familiar with. You might want to Google those and see how they compare to the bottleneck hypothesis. See whether you think that the idea that we've introduced really does bring something new, or whether it's rather similar to something that other authors have already proposed under a different name. Those of you who are more interested in practical ideas, this course should give you plenty, so don't worry, it's not all theory. On step 1.12, in addition to the pinned comments, actually, because we can't pin them all, I noticed a comment by John about how much time to spend teaching different aspects of language. You know, should we spend more time on the aspects of language that our students find difficult? And John's had replies from Liz and Tatiana so far, agreeing and disagreeing. And I like this little discussion because they don't only agree or disagree, they support their ideas, they explain why they agree or disagree. I think that by agreeing and disagreeing with each other in this way, you're more likely to challenge your own assumptions and develop your thinking. And in that's going to result probably in a better learning experience for you than if you always just post your comment in response to a prompt in our materials. So if you haven't done so, as you move into week 2, when you're asked to comment on an idea in the materials, or when we pose a question for you to answer in the comments, before you do, read through a few of the comments that other participants on the course have already made and see if you could make your contribution a reply to somebody else's. On step 1.16, I've pinned a comment from Isis. I like her suggestion that the questions on this course, the questions that the course raises, may be more important than any definitive answers. And I think that's a really important point. Many of the questions we pose don't have a correct answer, and bear that in mind as you work through the course materials. In week 2, for example, we present 2 approaches to classroom teaching. And we present these not because they're proven methods that are somehow the best, and not because we think that everyone should be using them, but because by considering how these approaches are similar or different to what you're already familiar with, considering the extent to which they could work for you, you might take away some useful ideas to add to your teaching and learning toolkits, not to replace one method with another necessarily, but just to bring some more ideas into the mix. In weeks 3 and 4 as well, I'm sure you'll encounter ideas that you disagree with, as well as hopefully some ideas that you'll agree with. In language learning and language teaching, context is everything. And that's what makes it really interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how your discussions develop over the next few weeks. Bye for now.